Hi everyone, Ashley here and welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing how to make the card that comes with the Fawn Chibitronics Merry Mice collaboration kit from start to finish, showing a lot of tips and tricks along the way. This card is really neat because when you press down on the bottom half there, you can see that it lights up. And that's because of the Chibitronics element, and I'll show you how to build that along with all the circuits and everything that you need to go into it. So I'm starting the card by stamping out some of the images that come in the stamp set with the kit. And this is a really cute stamp set called Merry Mice, and it comes with some different mice and a lot of the different elements that will go into the scene. So a little star to go on the tree and a little stool for the mice to sit on. I'm stamping out here with some Copic friendly black ink, and this is Lawn Fawn's Jet Black ink. And that's because I'm going to be using Copic markers to color in these guys. So another key step in this card is to stamp out those ornaments onto the tree in the exact position that they show in their example, and that's because that's where the lights will be shining through from the back. So you want to make sure that you stamp those lights onto the tree in those same spots. The next step is also to stamp out the sentiment onto the hillside there, and that will be placed down at the bottom of the card, and that is where you will be pressing down to light up the card. So again, I'm just stamping out in the same black ink just onto that little hillside, and that comes pre-die cut as part of the kit. Now it's time to start setting up the circuit. And for this, you are meant to take the piece of paper that will be sort of acting as the background to the scene and line up the template that comes in the kit. Then you're supposed to poke little holes, and I'm just using a craft poker here, to poke little holes through the centers of where the lights are meant to be. And this is outlined on the template. So you'll see on the template there's 3 little spots where you're meant to put the lights. So you just poke a little hole through each of those. Now this is the first mistake I made. I thought that you were supposed to do this on the back of the page, but when I kind of flipped it over and saw where the holes were lined up compared to where they were supposed to shine through on the tree, I realized I had done this backwards. So don't do it like this. You actually want to put that piece of paper front way like that so that the snowy side is showing. Put your template on top of that, and then poke your holes through. So I'm kind of just turning up the page around and trying to figure out what I had done wrong here, and then I realized, okay, I put it backwards. So put that page down snowy side up, put the template on top of it, and then poke your holes through. So again, I'm going to go back with my craft poker and just poke the holes through the spots where the lights are supposed to be, so just through the center of those lights. And when you do it this way, it means that the lights will shine through in the spots where the star on the tree is, as well as the 2 lights on the tree. And that's why it was so important to stamp those lights in those exact positions, because you're going to actually be building your circuit so that your lights are in the positions where they will come through on that tree, as long as you stamp them correctly. By the way, I actually have a separate video up on my YouTube channel showing the unboxing of this kit, as well as a few other fun things I ordered from Lawn Fawn. So if you want to see exactly the supplies that come in this kit and how they kind of come together to make this card, then go check out that video as well. So the next step is to use the tiny circle die that comes in the die set with this kit and cut out actual little circles over top of those holes that you just poked. So you poked a little hole, but this circle die will actually cut a slightly bigger hole than you poked. And the nice thing is it will take away any excess cardstock, so it won't just poke through, it'll actually cut it out. So you'll end up with 3 really nice clean holes in the front of that cardstock, so you can see them there. And again, this was cut using the template placed right on top of that page. So that tiny little circle die is really cute, and it cuts out the tiniest little circle, and it's perfect for just allowing a little bit of light to show through the back there. So the next step is then to cut that same little hole, so use the same die, right into the lights on the tree. And this will now allow the light to not only shine through the background page, but also to shine through your stamped image. So again, because I did do the die cutting off camera, I'll just repeat, you want to die cut tiny little holes in the spots that you poked on the background piece, as well as the lights on the tree. I'm now taking my Copic markers and coloring in all these images. And I'm just speeding this up so that we can get through the coloring a bit faster, because there's nothing really specific to the technique here. I'm just using typical Copic coloring technique where I use a dark color and then kind of blend it out with a light color. And you could really use any type of coloring medium here. You could use pencil crayons, you could use watercolors, you could use anything you want to color in these images. I just chose Copic markers because I find them the easiest to use, and I'm kind of on a Copic marker kick lately. So I'm just using a couple different shades of gray, a warm gray on one mouse and a cool gray on the other mouse, just to kind of make them a little bit different. And then I used some nice greens on the tree as well as some browns for the stool and the stump. I'm then going in with some oranges and some blues for the presents there, and these will just be kind of little accent pieces on the card to build out the rest of the scene. Okay, so now it's time to start building the card. The first step is to place your hillside down on the card front there, and I'm just speeding that up so you can see it come together quickly. And then you can start gluing down all the rest of your stamped images. The key thing to remember here is to make sure that you're gluing down your star and your tree so that they are overlapping the holes that you die cut. And it'll be easy to see because you also die cut the holes into the tree and the ornaments itself. So make sure those holes are all lined up, and that will allow the light to shine through from the Chibitronics lights. So I'm just using liquid glue on all of these pieces here and just putting them down onto the card, arranged kind of into the same scene that they showed in their example. So now comes what I consider sort of the tricky part, and I was a little bit intimidated by this, but it's really not that bad, and I hope that by the end of this video you'll definitely have an idea of how to build this for yourself. So the kit comes with this template, and you want to make 2 folds along the fold lines that are shown. And this will allow for you to fold that bottom part over and leave a little bit of space, and this space will be used for foam, which you'll see in a bit. Next, you want to adhere the battery down. To do this, you're going to put some double-sided tape over that circle area where it shows that the battery is meant to be going. And then pull off that release paper so that the adhesive is exposed. Before you actually put the battery down though, you're going to want to put your copper tape, and this is the negative side of the copper tape. So I'm just pulling it out of the packaging that it comes in here, and you'll see me kind of finagle with it for a little bit, and that's because it actually comes with a clear plastic coating on top of it, which I did not know, so I spent a while trying to find the edge. But just so that you know, if you do get this kit and you're kind of experiencing the same thing, just pull off that piece of plastic that's on top of it. You'll see it come off here, and then you'll be able to access the end really easily. So another thing that I didn't realize when I first started using this tape is that it itself also has release paper. So the next step of building your circuit is to place the copper tape all along those blue lines on the template, and this is the negative side. So this will be where the copper tape touches the negative side of the battery, as well as the negative side of the lights. Before you place it down though, you do want to take the release paper off of the tape, which I am not doing, but I will realize soon that nothing is sticking down, and I need to go back and start taking the release paper off. Once you do that, you can stick down the copper tape right onto that blue line, all the way where it's showing. And the easiest way to do this is to just kind of measure out with your fingers how long the tape needs to be to cover that blue part of the line, and then just kind of cut it with your scissors, take the release paper off, and stick it down. So here I am realizing that I need to take the release paper off, so I just pulled up that piece of tape, pulling the release paper off, and then I can stick it down again. So I'm going to go ahead and place copper tape all along the rest of the circuit here. Once I'm done with the blue, I'll move on to the red, and along the way, for each step, what you do want to do is take a bone folder and really smooth out the tape, and this sort of just allows the circuit to perform a little bit better. Once you're done putting the negative side tape down, you can put your battery down on that circle spot where it's meant to be. Then you can go through and place the copper tape all along the red lines, and this is the positive side of the circuit. And one key thing to know here is that you want to make sure that your tape does overlap with the top of the battery. So the top of the battery is the positive side of the battery, and you want that side of the battery touching the positive side of the circuit. Otherwise, just continue as you had with the blue, so just keep placing your tape along the side of the circuit that's red and just following the lines. And as long as you follow the lines, it should all line up with the lights and the battery and everything. Okay, so once you've placed all of your tape and you've smoothed it all out with your bone folder, now it's time to place the lights onto the circuit. So you can see that the lights are those triangle shapes. The point of the triangle is the negative side of the light, and the longer side of the triangle is the positive side. So when you're placing your light down onto your circuit, you want to just make sure that your negative side of the light is touching the negative side of the circuit, and the positive side of the light is touching the positive side of the circuit. And this is really easy with these templates because you'll see right on the template the triangle shape is outlined. So all you have to do is put the light into the triangle shape that's shown on the template. Then, according to the instructions, what you can do is take a Copic marker and go in and color each of the lights, and this will actually make the lights shine in these colors through your card. So if you wanted the star light to be yellow, you just color with yellow, which I did, and then I wanted the two lights on the tree to be red and orange, so I just colored those lights with red and orange. Then you can see that when you fold up that bottom flap and press down onto those strips of copper tape that you had put there, the lights will shine. It took a couple tries for me, but once I sort of put the right pressure in the right place, it lit up beautifully. So the next thing that they instruct you to do is to actually reinforce those lights by putting a little piece of copper tape along the top and the bottom of each one. So you'll see me just cut off little strips of the copper tape here after I've pulled off the release paper, and just cut them down to size for each of those little lights. And then you can just put a little piece along the top where the positive side is, and a little piece along the bottom where the negative side is. And I think this sort of just helps hold the lights in place and make sure that they don't move around inside your card. And you do this with the copper tape just to kind of keep the connectivity going a little bit. So once you've reinforced all the lights, now it's time to finish up building this circuit piece. In order to do that, you just have to add a bit of support with foam. So I've just cut out a bunch of different pieces of fun foam, and I'm using double-sided tape on each side to adhere it down to the card. The key thing to remember here is that that bottom flap will fold up. So something that I made a mistake by doing was to actually put foam on both sides of that fold, where it only needs to be on one. So I'm just cutting that off here so that you don't double up on the foam. And that way when you fold the bottom part up, there's space for that foam to lay down flat. So I had to do that on both sides, and then everything is in place and you can pull off that double-sided tape, and now everything will be able to adhere to your card. I also added a strip of double-sided tape down at the bottom where that flap had already flipped up. So once all of the double-sided tape is exposed, you can take your card front and place it down onto the circuit piece. And just make sure it's all nicely lined up. And it should line up according to the template so that the lights do shine through in their proper places. So I'm just taking some time here to make sure it's exactly aligned. And then when you press down on the bottom there, you can see after a couple tries, again, I'm kind of figuring out the positioning, that the lights do turn on and they shine through in the star and on those two lights on the tree, which is really, really cool. So the last step of this card is just to finish it off by building the card together. So they provide you with this piece of red pattern paper that you can use as a card back. So I'm just gluing that onto the card piece there, and this will be a really nice red border for our scene. Then I use liquid glue to glue the scene piece down as well. So this is elevated a little bit because of all that foam that we placed in, but I think that actually adds a really nice element of dimension to the card as well. So there you have it. That is the card for today, and that is the card that you can make with the Fawn Chibitronics collaboration Merry Mice kit. This is really neat because when you press down, the lights will shine through the star and the two lights on the tree, which is really, really cool. It's a beautiful, simple card design, and it's a really nice way to learn how to use Chibitronics. And I'm sure that in the future I will be purchasing more Chibitronics lights and using them in more cards, so definitely keep your eye out for that if you enjoyed this video. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video and learned a few things about Chibitronics. If you want to see more of my cards, definitely head over to my Instagram profile, which is linked down below. And in case you didn't know, I do post videos at least once a week, so I'll see you here next week. Thanks for watching. Bye!